Good evening, everyone. Welcome along for another live show here on 4 Sunday Live. It's just gone 7 p.m. here in the UK, which means it's time for another busy hour. Delighted to say we're in the company of the brilliant Reese, Gaz all the way from Malta, Pepe's back too, as is Mr. Jack Ward, football podcast, ahead of his trip to Fratton Park next weekend with Oxford, although he's not particularly confident about it, and we'll get into that a little bit later on. It is also fantastic to have plenty of you with us in the live chat below. Good evening to Andrew. Hello to Joey. I missed the Sunday live Saturday, dying of flu. Joey, we hope you get well very soon. Hello to Pompey and Mush. She says, big week ahead, could be very clear by Saturday tea time. Dan said, still need to play 6 of the 7 clubs immediately behind us, but we've already beaten Bolton, Barnsley and Peterborough while drawing at Derby. Take heart, people. And guess who, Pepe? She's here. She's made it. Bang on time. She's back for another 4 Sunday Live. Welcome to Shania. Reese, we'll start with you.
I'm muting myself. She put a reminder on at 6:45 to make sure she was here for 7 o'clock. If that's not commitment, then I don't know what is.
There we go. Good work. Reese boy, it's always a pleasure to share an away end with you. Gary Neville said this afternoon, he described Chelsea as blue billion-pound bottle jobs. We're talking about being 7 points clear tonight ourselves. Can you understand why some might be concerned that Pompey, despite, of course, not being worth £1 billion, but worth a lot more in some people's eyes, we do play in blue and we are susceptible to a bottle job?
Yeah, and I think, like you just said, comparing it to, say, Chelsea of the Premier League, we are obviously a big club within League One itself in terms of the stature, the money that we put into it as well for the playing side of things. But yeah, previous experience, obviously fans are always going to have that opinion. You know, we've had previous experience with bottling it, especially over Christmas time, heading into the new year. We've been top many times before and slipped off, but I think I'm a lot more confident this season because we are nearly down to single digits in terms of fixtures remaining, and we're in a really good position in the final stretch.
Yeah, 2 more till single digits. David said, evening all from Penzance. Hate it when we play Charlton. More than happy with a point. Simon's talking about a nagging doubt. Gaz, have you got any nagging doubts or are you full steam ahead?
No, I'm still full steam ahead. I'm really happy where the season's gone. I mean, let's face it, we only lost, you know what I mean, like on one hand, you know, games. Obviously, yeah, we can say we dropped points and we're still drawn. But yesterday was a great point, you know, let's face it. You know, teams around us, they're the ones who's bottling at the moment. We're not the bottle jobs. We're just getting the job done. And Charlton, let's face it, they're a bit of a bogey team, aren't they? So let's face it, you know, to come away with a point. I mean, it was both ends yesterday, wasn't it? Hitting the post. It was two teams going for it. They wanted the points. We wanted the points. And at the end of the day, points even. So I was well made up yesterday.
Your boxing match analogy is in the script for later on, Gaz, so we'll come back to that shortly. Howard said, my main concern is inconsistency. Players having great games one week, yet turning mediocre performances the next, i.e. Lane, Kamara, Lang. Also, Bishop needs to get scoring from open play again. I would say it is quite tricky when you put 3 men on Paddy Lane for him to perform as he has done, and maybe that is a little way round things. Peps, you were nervy towards the end. We were both nervy. We were stood there thinking this could go either way. And eventually it went neither way.
Yeah. I mean, bear in mind, we could have been, 1-0 down after 5 minutes. That could have been absolutely horrific. But then we could have gone up the other end and scored 3 within 10 minutes. So, but I think you go into Charlton away, you go into the Valley, you take a point every day of the week. And to see Derby and Bolton also drop points, it's actually not a bad day going to 5th bottom and getting a point away from home. So, yeah, it was a good day. I was nervy at the end, but reminiscing over Miles Harris bottling it on the 88th minute. But no, a good point away from home. And it was, again, a great away day spent with you, Tom, in the away end. Behind the goal.
That is one bottle that we can be sure of is sadly Miles Harris not quite pulling the trigger at the right time. We'll get into that later on. And finally, ahead of a big trip down to Fratton and off the back of a busy weekend, good evening, Mr. Ward. How are you?
Yes, good, mate. Yeah, busy weekend, but I'm good to go. Hopefully some good chats this evening. Ahead of a difficult one next weekend. It feels like it could be tough.
We're me and Wardy are spending all night together, so we're going to get used to each other's company. Before we cover everything from yesterday, let's take a moment to look back on Pompey's. What?
You've got to reword that.
Nothing wrong with that. We've spent many nights together. Let's take a look back on Pompey's capital gain. Good morning, Andrew.
Yeah, good morning, Tom. Lovely sunny morning on the way to the capital city. I'll take a clean sheet here today, if I'm honest, and I'll take not being beat.
I think we've been good with the ball, against the ball, but a couple of lapses in concentration a couple of times have gifted Charlton a couple of opportunities that on another day may have outdone us.
But I do believe that if we can create them chances again and find the back of the net at least once today, I think we will go on and win it.
And thought that one was in.
So yes, 0-0. People are obviously saying that it's 2 points dropped. We should have taken advantage because of obviously the results around us. However, that's a point gained on them. That's the way you've got to look at it. 7 clear of Derby now with only 1 game in hand for them. Bolton, same thing.
It's a point in the right direction.
We're probably 6 wins from the Championship. That's quite scary, but I think it's probably the case.
Play out Pompey!
Play out Pompey.
There we go. The first time Pompey have remained unbeaten against Charlton in the league since the 2020-21 season. Given it is the last weekend of February, it is time for the return of Goal of the Month here on 4-0 Sunday Live. Before we get back to the gents on Charlton, take a look at these 4 contenders and begin to think about where your vote might be going. It's time for the return of our Goal of the Month award, and for February, here are the contenders. Paddy Lane's goal against all odds at home to Northampton. Another for Paddy Lane, this time a brilliant move away at Carlisle. Abu Kamara's exceptional effort against Cambridge under the lights. And Marlon Pack's goal at Fratton against Reading. You can cast your vote in the live poll below and the winner will be announced later on in the hour. It is a really strong goal of the month this time around, so looking forward to seeing what you at home and our panel think. Let's get into yesterday. Reece, one of the working titles for Sunday Live tonight was, is it time to start believing? Something along those sort of lines. We went through many different options. Do you think it might be time to start believing? If not, will there be a time where Pompey fans will, or do you think it will just come from the run of games?
I think for the last couple of months, we've been having this question, really, haven't we? Because we've been quite consistent at the top, other than the little blip. So I just feel like there's no other reason at this moment in time that Pompey are giving us other than to believe and think that we can go on and win it. Especially with the remaining fixtures, we have got teams within the playoff contention still to play. But if we're picking up points around them and getting wins off of them, then obviously it's only going to make it even better. But yeah, I'm really confident, really confident.
Gaz, you described it to me after the game yesterday like watching a boxing match. Charlton went at us, we went at Charlton, and eventually everything ended. But it was a proper gung-ho, proper 2 teams going head-to-head, battling away.
Yeah, it was. And obviously the formations, we were up against as well because they played, 3 at the back, 5 midfield. So it was difficult for us to, penetrate them as like we'd done in the past. Kamara was out the game a lot, and obviously they've done their homework on us. We're top of the league at the end of the day. We've got targets on our back, and every team wants to now beat Pompey. So it's literally like every game for the opposition. Same for Oxford. They're going to want points next weekend. There's going to be a massive game against Blackpool coming up, and obviously the Peterborough game. So yesterday, look, there was chances, galore. We had, Moxon had a great effort saved. Goalkeepers, were called in yesterday. You know, we needed the goalkeeper to be strong yesterday. You know, Charlton hit the post a couple of times or the bar. It was like, you know, a couple of one-on-ones. It was literally to and fro. It could have gone anyway. And it was good. It was entertaining, you know. I mean, sometimes you get like a 0-0 and it is really boring. You know, we went, what was it, Stevenage, I think, one time. It was like 0-0. Flew over there for that ball, and that was a bore draw. That was like, you know, get me home. But, you know, I mean, at least yesterday they went for it. There was two teams playing, you know, interesting football, isn't it?
Dill said Derby and Bolton would have been coming out of their grounds being annoyed as we picked up another point. Craig on Facebook said Charlton were poor, but a point with both Bolton and Derby losing is a great day. Brian said, good evening, Tom, Jack, and everyone. Congratulations on another point well earned and one more point near the championship. Just hope Bolton can get their act together really soon to join you up there. Thank you for being with us, Brian. Much appreciated. Tom said, I do think Portsmouth will go up. Don't think there's any way you guys don't go up. We wish the friendly rivalry Charlton have a Portsmouth. It's about time Portsmouth got back to where they belong. Nice to see you yesterday. Tom, that's a bang we've been running for ages, is points on the board rather than games in hand. Going to have to win against Oxford. Wardy will chat about that one later on in the show. Phil said, Charlton are no mugs now. The performance at Bolton proved that. A point was okay for us if Moxon had scored with his effort. League One goal of the season contender it was, nearly dropping down with snow on it. That is what you get from a select Group 2 ref, Bobby Madley. Friend of the channel, Bobby Madley, I should add as well. Joey said, despite all the apparent season-ending injuries to Paul Robertson, Morel, Larry and all the rest, we keep going. As Winston Churchill said, we must keep fighting on. Play up Pompey. Thank you very much indeed for that. Pepe, we've spoken at length about doing a Pompey, haven't we? How Pompey would it be for us to do X and Y? That seemingly is rare to come by anymore. I don't think it actually applies to this group. I know you still think it does. It obviously would have really proved the point had we won yesterday, of course, but Pompey sides in years gone by have gone to the Valley and been beaten and probably would have lost that game.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I'm one of the most vocal people out there that there's going to be a Pompey somewhere. It's 7 years. We spoke about it the other day, Tom. It's bound to happen. I'm nervous that it could happen. But like you said, this team's different. So I don't want to get my hopes up too much because I know we've been 7 years and we've been here before and Pompey do a Pompey. But at the same time, this group is different. And every time they face adversity, they come back fit and firing. And we saw that over the Christmas period where they had a little dip over the December, early January period and they came back firing. They've now picked up 25 points. Shout out to Nappers for putting that on Twitter. Pompey picked up the most points in League One since the turn of the year. So that little dip over the Christmas period is really, they've come past that and they've got the most points on the board in the year. And as much as I still think there's a Pompey, there's only 12, 13 games to go. So if they do it, it's going to be at the worst time. But I don't see the squad doing it right now. And the only thing I can see, Tom, is Pompey heading to the Championship. But I'm going to say that very, very quietly.
11 games, perhaps. Not 12, 13, 11.
Oh, is it? Is it 11 games?
Games to go.
Sorry, I got my stats wrong.
That's all right. Wardy, every point is gold dust, and we're in a better position than we started the weekend in. That's what you should probably take away most if you're a Pompey fan, that you ended the day in a better position than when you started it.
Yeah, it's an important point. Not many teams, I think, under the Nathan Jones era at Charlton are going to go there and win, to be honest. I think he has improved them, especially at home. They look much better. To take away that Reading result, we've seen them got a draw at Bolton. They look like a really robust unit under the new manager, and I think we're already seeing that improvement. So I don't think it's a bad result, really. You can't really compare Charlton, the one you played yesterday, to the one under Dean Holden, the one under Michael Appleton. They are a different team. And like you said, the biggest takeaway for Pompey is the fact that you got a point and the teams around you didn't. Obviously, Bolton being the one that dropped points in that style as well. The repercussions of that, we don't quite know. It's an important result. It's an important result. It's not 3 points, but at this point in the season, I think it's about keeping that strong home form that you've been fantastic with, and then away from home against difficult opposition and that historical bad run you've got against Charlton, not losing that game. Yeah, it's about sort of plodding along nicely, staying within the hunt, and you're well and truly in that, and you're leading that pack and staying in the mix. And of course, Pompey are in a fantastic position with not many games to go where you haven't got to chase, you are being chased, and you keep putting in performances like that, you're going to be fine.
Would you rather be chased or being chased, Wardy?
In a football sense, or someone?
No, not just in general, in a Pompey related sense. Yeah.
Well, we're in a weird position, Oxford, where we are still being chased, but with games in hand, we could soon be chasing. So yeah, I think you'd rather be in the driving seat, to be honest. You'd rather be in the driving seat. I think you'd rather be going into a position where it's in your hands, because then there's no regret. The worst feeling is, you do your job, but you've sort of previous results in games before, you've let yourself down and you've made it so difficult for you to maybe you want to try, you want to not be reactionary. And I think you're in a position now where teams have got to sort of jump on your mistakes. But if you don't provide them that opportunity, then you're going to be in a strong position come the end of the season.
Welcome to over 260 of you joining us live across YouTube and Facebook this evening. This is 4-0 Sunday Live. It is great to have your company. Let us know what you thought of yesterday below. Mike has done just that and said, I think yesterday was a defining day in the season to go away from home, draw 0-0, but increase our lead to the top is what title-winning teams do. Gav said, hindsight is a wonderful thing, Tom. I remember there was a time when you said if we lost against Fleetwood, you'd feel it was the beginning of the end. What a difference 8 games makes. I do remember saying that away, heading up there, because that was the... You'll remember it well, Reece. We were in the car together, weren't we? That was the sort of the bit of the nosedive where it wasn't quite going to plan. Lewis said Portsmouth were good, but Bolton is such a better team. Hope they go up, including Derby, all worthy of going up as they're such great clubs. I reckon Blackpool will shake Blackpool game will shake up Bolton. Whether it works from a positive or negative perspective, we will wait and see. I know full well how tall Wardy is, Harry, and he's not much shorter than me, so I'm not really going to go there. I'm beaten across every game in February, Gaz, and as we mentioned it, results going our way. Elsewhere, a lot of work done away from the Valley yesterday afternoon. It turned it into a positive afternoon for us.
Yeah, we were at the Carlisle game, as in, some of the other guys from the channel, and it was another great result. Obviously grounded out, 1-0. Then you got the Reading game, then you got the Cambridge game. There's been some great results across the board, and bearing in mind we're still injury, quite a lot of injuries across the squad, and here we are still top of the league. Massinio's, is doing the magic, and the people that are coming on, like Moxon come on. There's people on the bench that want to play football. They want to get involved. It's a good time to be a Pompey fan, isn't it?
Ryan said 6 games at Fratton. We as fans have to rock that stadium harder than it's ever been rocked before. Don't get on the lads if it doesn't go away. Spur them on with every kick, which is what we've been doing recently, Ryan, which is absolutely unbelievable. And I'm so pleased we're doing so. We're backing the boys to the Hilton. We must, as you say, continue to do so. The importance of a hard-earned point like that shouldn't be underestimated, Reece. And we were talking about this on the way out. Irrelevant of Charlton's poor start to the season that you highlighted in the video, they had their chances to win it just as much as we did. So, positive point.
Absolutely. And this is a team that we've gone to that has obviously a great attendance in itself. I know obviously it wasn't completely sold out, and you can clearly see there was loads of missing people inside the stadium, but it's one of the bigger ones we'll be going to in this division. And when they get behind them for corners and etc., this is kind of what your team's all about, really. Can it keep the ball out the back of the net? And like the comments just said, title winning teams obviously see out games and get draws and clean sheets away from home, even when it's not been a convincing performance. And let's be honest, it wasn't a convincing performance. Otherwise, we would have been 2-3-0 up by the end of the game, but it wasn't to be. And again, this is a different Charlton team. This is, like Wardy said, under Jones next season, if they can stay in this division, which I think they will, they'll be heading towards the playoffs. So you've got to look at it from that perspective and not just ours as being promoted as champions.
I wouldn't say the atmosphere was flat yesterday. I think it's probably a typical 0-0 atmosphere, a bit edgy, and it was electric before the game. Me and Pepe were standing there, and as the teams came out, it was a bit of a pinch me moment, wasn't it? Thinking how exceptional it was, and it kept going throughout the game, didn't it, Peps? It just perhaps wasn't spurred on by a couple of goals in the back of the opposition net.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we'd be bouncing. I think we'd still be bouncing if Pompey scored, to be honest, Tom. That away end, 3,150 odd Pompey fans would be bouncing around because we're top of the league. But unfortunately, that didn't happen. And every time I turn up to away games, we never seem to score. Or the away games I want us to score in, where there could be good limbs, they don't want to score. So, yeah. But no, I thought the atmosphere yesterday, the first half and pre-match, like you said, was great. And Shania's mocking me saying, how's the atmosphere? Because I said the atmosphere was amazing. And she's taking the mix. So, yeah, no, the atmosphere was good. It's a shame it was flat second half as the game sort of petered out. It wasn't flat. I've seen a few comments on Twitter saying it was flat. There was still good noise, and they still got behind the team yesterday. I think someone said that Charlton's sort of a bit overrated, where there's so many fans going that they're expecting the best atmosphere of the season, and sometimes it's Carlisle away that produces that. But no, I thought the atmosphere was good yesterday, and it's just a shame there wasn't a goal. And oh my gosh, seeing that on camera, Tom, if Pompey scored yesterday, I would have gone flying.
Yeah, it would have been quite something, wouldn't it? Back to the various chances that we had. In the interest of neutrality, that's easy for me to say. I want to go with Jack on this one. Would you say this is an example of poor finishing or great defending or a bit of both?
Great defending for me. Great defending. I think he was about to shoot, but it's a really well-timed tackle. And yeah, I think it's a good tackle. I think it's good defending. I don't think he should have shot I think the tackle was done just before he was going to shoot. I don't think he would have shot in that position anyway, because he did have room to run into. I don't think he expected a tackle at that moment, but the timing of that tackle within the game and the chance, and we know how ruthless, but it was Paddy Lane, wasn't it, with that opportunity. We know how good he is in front of goal normally. It's great defending for me. It's not down to finishing. Maybe you shoot earlier, but I think you've got to just give the credit to the defender, to be honest.
Gazzy, you gutted
that. Cut on, Tom. I think if that's Paddy Lane that he's scoring that, I don't know. I think Paddy Lane at the moment is full of confidence, and we've seen him through on goal 1-1. I don't know. I just think he's got a bit more pace as Paddy, doesn't he? And maybe he could be where he's a bit more confident in front of goal. He could slot that maybe, because all it is when he gets to the 18-yard box, you just sort of think, just hit it. But he's taking that extra touch, and where he's taking that extra touch, it's just allowed Gillespie to come back in, and maybe Paddy, because he's a bit more confident in front of goal, could have hit that. But it's a lot of what ifs, isn't it? But yeah, it's a shame.
Hello to Paul from Wales, player at Pompey. Thank you for joining us, Paul. Gaz, I was going to ask you, if he pulls the trigger a second or two earlier, that's 1-0 Pompey. We all go home happy, don't we?
Well, yeah, it is, but obviously, at that stage of the game, it's do you know what minute that was? It
was quite late on. I'll have a look, but it was quite late on.
The 88th minute, I think I've seen.
Yeah. I mean, they're the sort of chances where you think, smash and grab, you leave with 3 points, but you got to look at the whole game in a whole. We could have, we could be 1-0 down in 5 minutes, and then we could have been 3-0 up, within 20 minutes. It's like it was like one of them games, wasn't it? It was like one of them games. Both of them wanted to. Would they be both happy with the point at that time? Obviously, I'm not saying they knew about results around them. Obviously, on the touchline, but obviously with technology now, they might have done. But it's a point gained instead of nothing lost.
And take nothing away from a really well timed and brilliantly executed tackle, Reece.
Yeah, and obviously we were seeing it live, and I think a lot of Pompey fans around us was just crying out for a penalty for the sake of it. When actually, in all fairness, it's just a really, really good well-timed tackle. And having looked at it back now a few times, I just don't think anything else. And I completely understand, people saying about Paddy Lane managing he'd probably finish that if he had the opportunity and he was in that position. But I just think hindsight's such a wonderful thing that I don't think I could actually agree with it as such.
Do you think, Reece, maybe more the fact that Paddy Lane had come off at that point is why that argument's quite easy to make?
Yes, absolutely.
Great. Thanks.
Yeah, straight to the point, mate. Stick to times and all that. I'll give you a 60-second answer, a 60-minute answer. I don't mind.
That's fine. Dave said these pods keep us expats up to date better than any official media. Thanks for all you do. Play at Pompey from South Carolina. I'm aware my signal's just going slightly, so I do apologise for that. I will hopefully I'm coming back relatively quickly now. We'll crack on and get on with a little bit more chat. We've got plenty to talk about this evening. We're going to come to Gaz's player ratings. We've, of course, got to go through your goal of the month in the poll down below. I haven't looked yet, but I reckon there's probably going to be outlying winner. We've got a PPG update and loads of things on Oxford to chat about too. So stick with us here on 4-0 Sunday Live tonight. And thank you all for being here this evening. What I will go to now is the position that leaves us and the League One table. We've mentioned already that games went Pompey's way yesterday, and there was no. Hang on, let me just find my clip while I try and talk at the same time. There was absolutely no doubt in that, because that has basically done this to League One, which, if we have a little look, Pompey stay top with a 7-point cushion, still just the 4 league defeats. And despite whatever happens elsewhere, with games in hand, it's important to stress as well, Gaz, no one can really stop us but ourselves at this moment in time.
Yeah, exactly. It's for us to lose. Like I say, we've got a big target on our back, and it's a nice place to be. Obviously, yeah, Pompey fans obviously know that. As we discussed earlier on, that Pompey can do a Pompey, but I don't believe with this current squad and under the guidance of Mourinho, I don't think they've got I don't think they've got 3 or 4 losses on the row in them. They've got that fight back. We lost against Blackpool. That hurt us, and then we came back stronger. So it's a case of just going on, doing our thing, and let them worry about what they've got to do. They're chasing. We're just playing our own game. So yeah, we got now we have like more points to play with than we had before. Before we were like games in hand, they can catch us and overtake us. Now it's changed now, isn't it? And that's what football does. We just go on to the next week now. So yeah, all good.
Reece, we mentioned already there, the games went Pompey's way. They're both towards the top end of this graphic. Barnsley beat Derby at Oakwell, which puts a bit of a dent in Paul Warne's side's impressive run. Just their third loss in 20 games. And perhaps the more unexpected scoreline was Blackpool's hammering over Bolton. Ricardo Santos, best defender in the league, sent off for the second time this season, which means that there's a bit of light now.
Yeah, and I wouldn't say that too loudly if Jake's in, obviously, the chat, because him being a Lincoln fan, they've got the best squad. Remember, the best places around in Lincoln. So be careful when you're saying that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, no, absolutely. And it'll be interesting to see, actually. I don't know if many of you know if, say, Bolton and Derby's got many other teams within the playoff race still to play moving forward with the remaining fixtures or not, because that will play a big part as well. But yeah, Blackpool beating Bolton 4-1 is quite impressive in itself, regardless of the red card. Obviously, Barnsley's been storming the league lately as well, really putting into a position where they're not just cementing themselves in a playoff position, but fighting for another automatic position as well, which is really, really important coming to the end of the season. We always have a small run for a team getting in the playoffs and autos, so that will be a real interesting one to keep an eye out for Barnsley now, especially when they've played the amount of games as Bolton and only 3 points behind them as well. We still got Barnsley to play, haven't we? So could be interesting with that. So maybe we're not just looking at Bolton and Derby moving forward, but as others have said, we need to just keep winning, keep concentrating on ourselves. 11 games to go. Let's just concentrate on us and see what happens.
The reason for the twitching and the smirking in the chat is, I believe Jack Ward has sent a picture to Pepe Lacey of a baby-faced, clean-shaven Jakey boy. If my prediction in the private chat's correct, so I haven't got anything to flash up on the screen, but it is rather hilarious. And
T-Lock is the way to go.
Well, I was going to say, if you're a T-Lock Premium member, then you will see that later on the ceiling. We're filming about 9 o'clock, so make sure you're there for that. Cornish Pompey said, we've been there, games in hand, added pressure at this stage in the season. Games in hand aren't points in the bag. Bolton feeling it. Gaz, we've said so many times. We'll say it again. How much better are points on the board than games in hand?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, because, games in hand mean nothing unless you win them. So we're in a privileged place, and also the games in hand, they are just going to get in the way, congestion wise, because you've got to play the Saturday and the Tuesday and the Saturday and the Tuesday. We've got that luxury where we've got Burton on a Tuesday, and then we've got literally almost Saturday games. So we're going to be recovering well. We can get back on the training field, and get ready for the next match. The games in hand mean nothing unless you win them. And, we know that in the past where we've had games in hand and we've bottled it. We've done a Pompey. So they, like I say, they mean nothing unless, obviously, you get the points on the board.
We've been in a position so many times when if we win a couple of games, we'll make the playoffs. So if we win a couple of games in hand, then we'll be X and Y. But actually, it eventually never really turns out to be that way, does it? Obviously, not too much to say on these due to the fact that we weren't particularly brilliant yesterday in terms of individual performances. However, we'll go through it nonetheless. Our player ratings and a brief look at our ratings from yesterday, Pepe, would suggest that the selection on the channel was Owen Moxon as man of the match is probably about right, according to this.
Yeah, I thought first half he was excellent. He was really calm and control on the ball. He was sort of dictating play really. But then sort of second half, I think I said it to you where it just sort of came off the gas a little bit. He wasn't really as good as he was still good. Probably one of Pompey's best players, but wasn't really at it like he was in the first half. But Marlon Pack again, a solid rating from him. Every time Pompey played well, he plays well, or every time he plays well, sorry, Pompey play well. That's what I'm trying to say. But yeah, another great performance from him yesterday in the centre of the park. So I thought the two midfielders were excellent yesterday, and another good rating from Sean Raggett, who keeps silencing those critics. My gosh, I can't speak today.
A little bit like you're silencing yourself.
I'm silencing myself. I need to put myself on mute here, Tom. I thought he was excellent in the air yesterday. He was winning everything, all the set pieces, and in the box as well. He was a threat. So yeah, I thought Owen Moxon, like you said, stand out yesterday. So no complaints with his rating.
We're a little bit concerned, Reece, weren't we? The fact that Tom Lowry came back and then was injured so quickly. We heard after the game it's going to be more like 4 weeks from now, 6 weeks as of the injury for him to come back. Reece has mentioned it there. Nice to see that midfield too combining really nicely. So obviously you want Tom Lowry back as soon as possible, but nice to see that that's kind of being covered. You were really impressed with Owen Moxon. If you want to reiterate and maybe slightly more detail what you made of him yesterday, because you said it on the channel, but a little bit more opportunity to expand.
Well, no, it's, I'm sure other Pompey fans pointed out as well that was probably Moxon's best performance so far in a Pompey shirt. I know he hasn't had many, and he took a while to get going when he was coming off the bench, etc. And we know that Pompey signed him because he has quality. He knows that he can be in a promotion-winning team. He's obviously proved it in the lower leagues before. But yes, I kind of agree a little bit with Pepe in regards to that. His performance in the first half definitely warranted man of the match already, purely because he was controlling the midfield really well alongside Pack. He was doing his duties, dropping back as well to help defend. But moving forward, he had just this bundle of energy to move the ball around from left to right, obviously intercepting 50-50s in the middle of the pack. So yeah, I was really, really impressed with him. And then second half, maybe because he just got tired and obviously the players around him as well dropped off their performance as well. There could be one or two reasons as to why he just dropped his energy levels all of a sudden. But overall, he didn't exactly stand out in terms of a negative way in the second half. Just wasn't at the levels in terms of the first half he was at.
Cornish Pompey's there, just looking at the team regardless of ratings yesterday. Been a while since I've looked at the squad and smiled at the quality across the team as a group. Danny said Bishop does a lot of work that is not appreciated, brings a lot of other players into the game, can see that by all the different scorers we have. Yeah, Bishop all round as a number 9, every single facet of his game is the best we've had for many years, Danny. We've been banging the drum on the channel a lot recently. Wardy, for what it's worth, Harry Eisted was the highest rated player on the pitch yesterday. What does that tell you?
That you tested him a few times. I'm gonna go with that. Yeah, he's a good goalkeeper. Nathan Jones came in and changed their goalkeeper. They had Maynard Brewer as their number 1, and they have switched and changed that. We watched Easton go for Barnsley in the playoff final time, and we were banging the drum on him, saying how good he was in that game and how important he was. In such an important fixture. And he is a better goalkeeper than Maynard Brewer. I think he probably is less of a ball-playing goalkeeper, potentially. I know Maynard Brewer is also an Australian international or New Zealand international, one of the two. So maybe that gives him a slight edge. I think Michael Appleton definitely did prefer him, but Nathan Jones has gone with Easted, who's got much more EFL experience. And it does prove yesterday. I mean, Norris got a 7 rating as well, which is one of your higher ratings. So clearly both goalkeepers did a good game. And from watching the highlights of the two, of the two teams and the opportunities they had, it looks as though goalkeepers were a big part in it. But yeah, maybe that comes down to the finishing and the attackers, but also I think goalkeepers can have good games, and in a 0-0 there were chances, weren't there? So yeah, I think it's a credit to the keepers as well.
Just under 300 people with us for the last 25 minutes of 4-0 Sunday Live. Ryan said, Pepe, keep those fluids coming, saying your time is coming soon. That is obviously, he's talking about you next in the conversation, Pepe, not referring to anything else in particular. Gaz, on the in terms of a general point with the player ratings there, I know this is something that you sort of introduced to us here on the 4-0 Sunday Live. Obviously, no real standout performers, but as Cornish Pompey said a minute ago, it's nice to look across and feel confident in each and every player in every position.
Yeah, it is, yeah. And obviously seeing them live is different. Obviously, you can you can have your own, you can watch a player just during a game and watch them move and stuff like that. I think, he's had a good game. But then obviously in the bigger picture, what you're watching isn't actually a collective thing, like a team performance. But yeah, obviously we saw Moxon come on at Carlisle, obviously his old team. And we saw that there was something about him, that grit in the midfield that we needed. And first half he was obviously going for it gun ho, and then obviously the second half tailed off a little bit. But with that 5 that Charlton played in midfield, you're always going to get tired. But luckily, obviously, then we have the likes of the Bishop can drop in, he can help in midfield. We've got some good pace going forward in the counter with Lang and Lane, and obviously Kamara as well. So it's like that game of chess. They know what our strengths are, and they're trying to cancel us out. You know, it's like they're worried more about it, and we're worried about them. It was just one of them games, which is I thought was entertaining. It was good to watch, and like I say, a point one, I think.
Reece, a word on Pompey women this afternoon.
Yeah, I really enjoyed watching the game, and obviously there was 22,000 in St James's Park, which is really good, especially for a semi-final for Pompey to get involved in and go one further than last season. There was 200 Pompey fans that trampled up as well to watch the women, and I think they gave a really good account of themselves, if I'm totally honest. I think over the 90 minutes, Newcastle went 1-0 up through a header, and then Emma Jones equalised. There's discussions around, was it offside, was it onside? I personally thought it was offside, but obviously Jones played to the whistle, put it in the back of the net, and there was confidence again in the squad. But yeah, second half, I must admit, they must have hit the bar at least 3 times. They had their chances, Newcastle, and when they got the winner in the 90th minute through Gibson, another header into the box, I just generally felt like Newcastle deserved it overall. But you can't take anything away from the Pompey women's team and their performance today and giving everything they could. But now they can concentrate on the league. And I think it's fair to say both the men's and women's have been making Pompey fans really proud this season. And I think we just need to get behind them just as much as the men's in the run into the end of the season.
Absolutely. It's time to crown our goal of the month for February. Here's one last look at our goal of the month contenders for February. Paddy Lane's goal against all odds at home to Northampton. Another for Paddy Lane, this time a brilliant move away at Carlisle. Abu Kamara's exceptional effort against Cambridge under the lights. And Marlon Pack's goal at Fratton against Reading. So no goals yesterday, but plenty to choose from here. We will go around the panel briefly. We'll start with a neutral perspective. Wardy, we can stick around for chat with Pepe after the show, by the way, because I'm sure he's got a story or two to tell from last weekend. What would you go with? Oh, hang on. Sorry, sir. You might need to unmute yourself because we can't hear a word you're saying.
I'm going to go Kamara off the bar. Cambridge, I believe. Is that right? Is that who you played?
That's bang on, mate. We'll take that.
Yes, I'm going to do. I guess the assist is. We're not doing assist of the month. I'm glad you didn't put that in there because I was worried we were going to do assist of the month, and that hasn't come through. But there is a good assist for Kamara. I think, to be fair, Kamara he's involved in the majority of those goals. I think the Marlon Pack goal is a really good solo effort into the box. But no, I'm going to go, I think it's the satisfaction of the goal against Cambridge for me, off the bar.
Gaza?
I'm going along with Jack's theme of the assist, which is obviously for me, and obviously for the day that it was. You know where I'm going with this, which is obviously I'm going with Paddy Lane at Carlisle, because obviously, we had that journey into London, and then we had the literally side by side with 5,000 other people on a train to get to Carlisle. So for my own personal, selfish reasons, I'm choosing. It was well worth the journey coming all the way from Malta to watch a 1-0 win at Carlisle. I'm choosing Paddy Lane at Carlisle.
Good man. It's amazing how it's that whole day, the whole journey, everything, just for that one little moment for it to trickle over the line. It didn't trickle, did it? It's a great strike, but it didn't quite cross the line with as much vigor as some of the other ones have. But I appreciate that, Gaz. I was actually going to go with you with the circumstance and everything about the day. I think Paddy's is a great shout. Peps.
Kamara, I'm going to join Wardy and say Kamara against Cambridge. I was at Fratton. It just sort of came from out of nowhere, really cut inside and off the bar. It just looks so good when they come off the bar like that. And I think the nature of the goal as well, Pompey needed a third and he came up full of confidence and put it in the top bins, Tom.
Reece boy, my son?
Yeah, Kamara as well. You know, the accuracy, the swerve, and the dip all in one. It was just really, really nice to see it, Fratton.
Well, I think the comments are going to go with Kamara as well. And I can reveal that in the live chat below, you have crowned Abu Kamara as your goal of the month for February, with 70% of the vote. Other splits going down to Paddy Lane, Northampton, then his goal at Carlisle, and then Marlon Pax for Reading for the 6%. And if anyone's wondering, Callum Lang's goal was sadly in January, so we can't include that in the February 4-0 Sunday Live goal votes. But we are going to talk about Callum Lang in a little while, and I'm sure you'll know why we're going to talk about him. Before we do so, we're going to have a PPG update, everybody. Everybody loves a PPG update. And I'm always... Yeah, everyone loves it, mate. I'm especially you. I'm always a little bit cautious about flashing these kind of things up on the screen because I don't want us to get carried away. We do like a regular update. This is how things are looking. Peps, top of the form tables, top of the overall predictions. It's all looking rosy.
It is, Tom, and I don't know how to feel about it. We're so close. It's touch and distance, and it's starting to get real now. I'm imagining Marlon Pack on Southsea Common at the start of May lifting the trophy. But it's starting to get real. Over the course of the season, Pompey have clearly been the best team in the league, and the stats show it. Forecast 95 points, average PPG of 2.6. It's just so good, and I can't believe I'm saying this, Tom, but I am imagining Pompey playing in the Championship next season. It will be an absolutely catastrophic blow if Pompey don't win. It'll be a massive collapse, but I see us finishing the top two. I still think Derby, their inconsistencies, I don't see them finishing the top two. I think Barnsley could be the team to keep an eye out on. They beat Derby yesterday, sorry. So yeah, they're on the same points and the same games as Bolton. So they're right in the mix. So I can see anyone in the top four finishing in the top two, but I definitely see Pompey as one of those teams.
We were discussing it a couple of weeks ago, Gaz. We thought 95 points would be about right. That's now what is predicted based on a couple of different things, momentum, points per game, all that kind of thing. I know it's very stats-based, and we're looking at 22 men on a green pitch, but at the minute, all is well.
Mm-hmm. And like I said earlier, we're nearly in single digits, and it's becoming, it's becoming apparent that we've had a really good season. Let's not make no bones about it. We've surpassed our points tally from last season with how many games to go. That's how poor we were last season. So you look at progression. The owners, they spent well, and we had great recruitment in the window in the summer. We recruited really well in the January transfer, and I like Pepe said, it would be catastrophic, obviously, if we don't go up. And obviously, there's 23 other teams there that would be itching for us not to go up, because that's the way football fans are, Yep. But yeah, it's in our hands. That's the main thing. We've had to rely on seasons past where we want other teams to help us out. They need to, beat the teams where, we need the points, etc. But now it's not. It's in our hands now. So I'm just desperately wanting to play Championship football,
Yes. And it's interesting last couple of weeks that forecasted automatic promotions come down a notch or two. That's been 92 pretty strong throughout the season, back down to 90 given what's happened at other games and other grounds all over the country in the last couple of weeks. Reece, that form and those numbers, points per game, all that kind of thing, and where that puts us on the graph is courtesy of quite a relentless run that started all the way back, when you remember, at home to Leyton Orient, when we had that pretty dismal day. Since then, there's only been a couple of blots. Wardy's beloved yellows, and yesterday afternoon.
Yeah, and I remember the Leyton Orient game very well for being asked to do a dance every 2 minutes after the game, and I don't think I was in the mood to do it then, if I'm totally honest. But yeah, we had that blip, and not just Pompey fans, but a lot of neutrals around the league kept saying that this is it. This is Pompey, just like every season. They're going to bottle it now. They're going to go on an inconsistent run until the end of the season. They're going to fall out into the playoffs. Never win in the playoffs, as they remind us, and we remind ourselves. But yes, it's another good indication of what the start of the season was like for us. Seeing that on the graph now is exactly what it was like from the start of the season. And what was it? We've been in the top two since September consistently, or was that top? One of the two.
It's been I think
End of September, though, isn't it? Of course.
It was end of September we were top, and there was a weekend in December where we went second, and then we've been top ever since.
Yeah, when you say it like that, and you have a conversation with anybody within football that supports a team, you know they're on course to obviously get promoted one way or another with that consistency throughout the season. A blip of 4 to 5 games is okay if the league and the teams around you are also being as that consistent, because again, like you said, it's dropped down from 92 to 90 in terms of predicted. And I think when you've just shown the graph, the only person that's not happy at this moment in our league is probably Wardy, because they're 11th in the last 5 games for form. And for Nappers, that's probably the only belief he's probably got with Fleetwood staying up, is in the last 5 games picking up that point. And the worst one is obviously Jake, seeing him in second on the last 5 games is going to go to his head, I reckon. But no, in terms of Pompey, it's really, really positive. And again, we just need to keep consistency with our performances and results, and we get there.
Pepe,
Yes,
6 wins out of 8. It's all right, isn't it?
It's all right. It's all right, Tom. I'm loving it. I think when you look at those first 2 games after Leyton Orient, you go into Fleetwood away with fighting for their lives, and you get a 1-0 win. You take that every day of the week, and you go to Port Vale a week later. They're fighting for their lives, and you get a 1-0 win. And people were still saying, "Oh, is this team good enough?" They've gone to teams fighting relegation, and they're only winning 1-0. You take them every day of the week. They're fighting for their lives down there. They're scrapping for any point they can get. And seeing top of the league come to town, they want to get a point. They're happy to sit there. They're happy to sit back and let Pompey come at them. And to get 3 points at both games there, it's a great return. And you're seeing their 2 draws since that Leyton Orient defeat. You're taking that every day of the week, Tom. You're taking it. And Pompey are now I keep saying it tonight, Tom. I don't know what's...
He's excited, ladies and gents. He's excited.
I'm very excited. I'm just imagining Southsea coming at the start of May. It's exciting stuff. So yeah, no, it's a great return. And Pompey, since the turn of the year, we're really seeing the best of what this team are amid adversity with all those injuries as well in between. So yeah.
Tony said all those recent wins against teams at the bottom, different phase of the season coming up. We're going to chat about games to come in a moment or two. Pepe's mentioned the 2 draws there. One of them was yesterday. The other one was against a certain Oxford United. Wardy, we'll get on to chat about next weekend now. I'll ask you the same thing that I said to you a couple of short weeks ago when you were last here on 4-0 Sunday Live. I think the point still stands. The only thing predictable about Oxford United is that you're a very unpredictable side.
I think in recent weeks we're not. I think in recent weeks we've been bad, to be honest. I don't mean that's consistent. Yesterday was really poor, and we have not set up this game well. We've not set up this Pompey game in the weekend very well. We haven't gone there with something to build on, which is a massive disappointment. And you've got to, I think, against Portsmouth in their current form at Fratton Park, you've got to go there with some confidence. You've got to go there with something to build on, and we haven't done that. We've got to go there and almost start with a clean slate in terms of performance, and that's a massive issue that we've got to face. But it's the business end of the season, and we're at a position where we have to do that. And if we don't do that, there's going to be some pretty severe consequences, and the biggest one being we could fall out the top 6. And if the top 8 and the 2 teams outside the top 6 do win their games in hand, we'll be comfortably out of that top 6. That's the brutal reality of the mess that we've got ourselves in. I won't go into detail about Oxford too much on this show. It's not really for this. It's about previewing the game. I'm sure T-Lot will go into a little bit of detail on it. But in short, there is a few things that need to be sorted out quickly. Otherwise, I think we probably have wasted a good start to the season. And I think I came on this show. I think we said it on our own personal shows, Tom. I remember having the conversation. The biggest frustration will be come the end of the season if we don't not even get promoted. If we don't even get in the top 6, it'll be we've wasted what was a phenomenal start to the campaign when Oxford and Pompey were sort of neck and neck for the first 2 months. And we're now in a place where we are chasing. And I come back to that point about Oxford having to now chase teams, even though we're in 6th, in 6th place. I know Bolton have got games in hand on you. I think someone made a really good point earlier. We mentioned chasing and chasers, and games in hand are really difficult. We don't quite know what the league looks like. But what we can do is look at the games that are coming up, and we know the ones that are definitely going ahead. And right now, Oxford aren't winning those games. And I think it was someone on the panel just a second ago said, in previous seasons, you've been in a place where you've been hoping teams do teams a favour. I think Oxford are probably in that boat now, which is a bit of a concern.
Gaz, we have to talk about last time out. It was a welcome to Portsmouth Football Club, Callum Lang kind of moment, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean... I mean, what a guy! You can instantly fall in love with like players when they just join Portsmouth. But we're blessed at the moment where we actually own players. Obviously we fall in love with loan players and they just disappear afterwards. But yeah, it's nice to have obviously players that want to play for the shirt, play for the badge, and the actual togetherness in this squad now is absolutely fantastic. I mean, the supporters are just bouncing around it's been like every time I come across and I've watched the games, they've just been great. Port Vale at 1-0 was great. I'm looking forward to coming over for Blackpool, and then the week after for the Peterborough game. I'm buzzing. I just can't wait. I mean, yes, we want the season to end, and obviously we want to be promoted and get up. But this is a great roller coaster at the moment. It's one of them seasons where it's been a really good season. I mean, we haven't had, obviously last season we thought Danny Cowley was going to take us all the way up there, didn't we? And then it was like, then we hit December and we were top of the league, and then all of a sudden, a month later, Danny's gone, and it all happened from Charlton, wasn't it? When Charlton, obviously, under the lights on a Monday night, and we lost, and it was like, and then we imploded. But we haven't had that sort of implosion this season. That's why, this group of players, I just don't see them throwing this away. They've done so much hard work, in all these games. They know that, this means a lot. So, and they appreciate, every time they come out, they always say, "Oh, the away fans are amazing. They've travelled in their numbers," and that's what Pompey have. They've got these fans that travel, regardless of the miles, regardless of the Tuesday night. They want to give something back, and this is what this group of players are doing.
It's getting exciting in the season when Gaz comes over back-to-back weekends for Blackpool and Peterborough away. It's going to be quite the couple of weeks. I'm so looking forward to it. Really looking forward to having you over, mate. We thought we'd won it in that Callum Lang moment, didn't we, Reece? We were all stood there. We're thinking, here we go, 2-1. And then I get a message after the game from Mr. Jack Ward saying, "Oh, you were singing you're top of the league, and look what happened." So none of that Saturday, please.
Yeah, and I think it was just so nice, like you just mentioned, with Lang coming on for his debut and having a real impact and changing the game altogether on his own in that one moment. And because it was so late on, obviously we thought we'd gone on to win it. But of course, Norris made a save, and people are arguing that he could have done better with it. But unfortunately, the people around him, such as Towler and Lowry, could have done a lot more. So defensively wise, if we are sound and we've been as good as we have been of late, especially, say, for example, Charlton and other performances of late, like Reading, I don't see us slipping up like that again, if I'm totally honest, at Fratton. I just think with the players that we had on at the time against Oxford, with Towler coming on in that scene out the game, maybe was the mistake that we had. But that's, again, hindsight, isn't it? So, yeah, I think we'll be okay if we put in performances like we have lately.
Hayward saying resilience is different this year. Joe saying best side for a long time. Despite injuries, they keep going. But despite being sorry, I'll try that again. Being a Pompey fan makes you doubt. Look at the stats, though, and we will do it. But we do know, Peps, it's always a tough game against Oxford.
It is, Tom. And I said this a couple of weeks ago, looking at Oxford and Charlton, there are bogey teams, but especially Charlton in particular. Yes, they're our main bogey team, but you've got to look at them where they are in the league. If it's another team at fifth bottom, you're expecting to go there and beat them, regardless of who it is. Okay, Charlton, we struggle every single season against them, but you'd expect to go to fifth bottom and win. So it's just that sort of mindset, really. And Oxford, I think it'll be a tough game, but Pompey, we're at home and we're a force to be reckoned with at home at the moment. In recent weeks, 4-1 against Northampton, 3-1 against Cambridge, 4-1 against Reading. Yes, I think I've got that right. So 11 goals in the last 3 home games with 3 conceded. And with how Wardy's describing how poor Oxford are at the moment, I just see Pompey just carrying on their winning streak at the moment, and I think it's nothing but 3 points to next week.
It's mind games, Pepe. It's mind games.
All in the mindset.
Mind games. Jack's living in your head rent free.
No, he's not.
You're trying to, yeah.
More mind games to come here now. Wardy, 2 wins in 2024 so far. We spoke pre-show. I mentioned it at the top of the show. You're not confident at all coming to Fratton?
No, I don't think it's the Fratton thing. I think we're not confident going into many games. We weren't confident going into Leyton Orient, and they proved that we had good reason to be frustrated before and after it, because they they were better than us comfortably. Yeah, no, look, we're not in a good place. There's a lot of underlying issues with Oxford, I think, at the moment that aren't being spoken about. And I don't think will be spoken about until the end of the season. We've had a very, very disjointed campaign, and I know it's not what fans want to hear. And I'm just as frustrated as everybody. But we lost the manager at the start of the season that was integral to the direction that we were going in, and we just haven't adjusted well. We just have not adjusted well. There's been a lot of issues around building a coaching department and a new coaching department and being forced to build a new one in the middle of a campaign, which is not easy. And I think we just maybe thought that transition was going to be slightly smoother. And I think Des Buckingham has come in and maybe that wasn't the case. People are asking me what the attendance is. I don't know. I don't know how many we sold. I know I am going. I'm not quite sure how many we sold. We do fairly well. We do travel fairly well to most places. At Pompey in particular, so it tends to be a good day out. So hopefully we can put on a bit of a show. But it's going to be a case of going there and having to sort of build a performance from nothing, because we have nothing to build on, like I said, on Saturday. And we've been so patchy within performances. And again, you mentioned about inconsistency. That's not just in results. That's within matches. We just don't quite know what we are yet. And it's a pretty vague answer, but it's just sort of working out exactly the direction that we're going in. I don't quite know where that is, but we'll have to wait and see. Again, Pompey away after a disappointing couple of games is not very friendly, is it?
Brian, who's always a regular contributor and a lovely man, says, "You are such a fantastic host, Tom, Gaz, Reese, Jack and Pepe. Always spot on with every answer. Great listen, chaps. Thank you very much for joining us tonight, Brian. Really appreciate that." Liam said, "Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Want us to go up as much as everyone. 11 cup finals to go. 11 cup finals indeed." Right then, let's get round. Oh, not forgetting as well, Wardy, Pompey, Bolton and Peterborough still to play for you now between now and mid-April as well is probably something that might be quite important in terms of the old run-in for you. We do have a run-in to talk about. Oh.
I was going to say that, just to go sidetrack a little bit there, Tom. Don't forget, there's obviously Tuesday. This Tuesday game, there's going to be some. I'm just looking at there now. Obviously, Bolton are playing. Obviously, Derby are playing. There's a lot of games on Tuesday. So even before we kick the ball on Tuesday, we might be, in even more of a better place where they've played their games in hand as well. So these are all. That's what I mean. That's what I'm telling you about. These games in hand mean nothing unless you win them. They're getting congested here now. So we've got a nice free week. So it's going to be interesting on Tuesday night with these results as they come in.
Gaz, we'll go back to you then. Just over 300 of you joining us. Get your score predictions down in the live chat below. How are you feeling about this run, mate? And what's your score for Saturday?
Score for Saturday, I'm going to go with a cheeky 3-1. I just think, I don't know, there's always that edge, and with Oxford, I always go back to the playoffs. I mean, they broke my heart in the playoffs, home and away. It was just a disaster, that was. And then they always seem to ruin my day. So they might go up 1 and then we can come back and get 3. I'll be happy with that.
Paul said, Pompey from Wales. Paul from Wales, been a Pompey fan for over 55 years. Seen this all before, but feel good about this season. Reece, I know you're feeling good about this season. How good are you feeling about the run? And what are you expecting from Saturday score-wise?
Looking at the run-in, obviously it looks really, really tough, especially with the teams around us. We've still got to play, but personally, you can look at it from a distance and obviously pinpoint certain games, but I honestly believe in the situation that we're in, we need to take it one game at a time, because then we can reflect off of, i.e. injuries, performance-wise, how we played, the results of that particular game going into the next one. It's very similar to how Wardy's feeling about Oxford at the moment, in regards to if you've got nothing to go into a next game with, it's a little bit harder to understand how you are actually going to approach it to start with. No, for Oxford, I'm quite confident. I'm going for a 3-2 win. I think it will be tight, but I think there's goals in it, and I'm hoping that the Fratton faithful can get behind the boys and get the win over the line.
You can hear that Reece has seen it's got to 8 o'clock, so his voice has sped up a little bit. AP said all in pop. There's what? Oh, there is
TV to watch and biscuits to eat. So,
oh, that's why. Okay, thanks, mate. AP said all in Pompey's hands. Let's hope Pompey. Let's not hope Pompey. Let's hope Bolton, Barnsley, and Derby drop points. Retired Mariner said every game is a cup final. When you're playing the team who's top of the league, you are playing the team that's top of the league next weekend. Wardy, how do you see it?
Yeah, you should win. I honestly don't. I don't see a world that you can't not win. So I'm going to say we win 2-1.
Nice. 2-1 from Visible Comment, 2-1 from Pompey Lad 69. Michael Moody saying, running us horrible, we beat Oxford 2-1. 2-2 from Shane. Dan's going for a 2-0 Pompey win. Daz Pompey Rule is saying 3-1. Ryan saying 2-1. Lang with both. Callum Lang loves a goal against Oxford, doesn't he? So hopefully that'll happen. You must be due your 4-0 next week. No consolation goals, please, from Pompey and it Mush. Thank you very much for that.
If it's 4-0, I think I'm going to retire. I think that's probably where my career ends. I think 4-0. If you beat us 4-0, that is where I draw the line. I think.
Can I also
I'd rather lose 6-0 than 4-0. I'd rather lose 7-0 than 4-0.
Should a 4-0 happen, I have got a video drafted in my tweets ready to go, ready to fire out at full time. So looking forward to that. And Mike said, cheers, lads. Great stream tonight. Wardy knows exactly what I'm talking about. Better let Pepe go because Shania's after a FaceTime. Dylan wants one as well. PFC Reg is saying 4-0 Saturday. 3-0 for Callum. Zodiac saying 1-0. Dave saying 4-0. Points mate prizes from Simon. 4-0 for Ray. 4-0 all over it. Good evening, Tom from Reg. 2-0 home win for Lee. Peps, finish us off.
I'm going strong, Tom. I think Pompey will win 3-0.
Oh,
I know. I'm going strong. That's it. I see the vision, Tom.
Couldn't up it to the 4 Peps just for the channel?
No. I'll go sensible. I'll keep it sensible. I'll go 3-0.
3's fine though. 4's too far. Is that?
Yeah, 4's too far.
It's been a pleasure.
Always. Thank you very much.
Reese boy.
Yeah, thanks for having me, mate. It's lovely to see you boys as well, and hopefully see some more Pompey fans soon at Fratton Park.
Wardy.
Yeah, I'm coming. I can't wait to meet you all. I'm sure I'm going to get a lovely reception. I'm bringing security, and can't wait to meet you all.
And it's not the 4-0% alive is not the only thing that Pepe's finishing off tonight. So
this is good.
Thanks for joining us, mate. I love it so much.
Cheers, boys. Thank you.
And on that note, keep the faith. See you next weekend. Play at Pompey.
Play at Pompey.